And we are live. Guys, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by James McCormack here in Dublin City at his abode, the Dublin Barista School. James, just to give a little background about yourself and how we connected actually, the beauty of social media. We connected over Instagram and we met for the first time 2 days ago, I believe.
Yeah. Well, we did meet in 2007, you just didn't remember.
Oh yeah, there you go. I feel bad about that. Yeah, back in the Blackrock rugby days.
Just when you were starting your professional rugby career, and I was kind of transitioning out of playing rugby and into playing thirds, I think it was, down in Stradbrook. So it was, who was coach? It was
Emmy Farrell.
Shane Byrne.
He was captain. He was captain.
Shane Byrne was captain, and that was your kind of start, really, wasn't it?
That's it. Yeah, a big shout out to Shane the Mullet Burns actually on Limor as well. So
yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
profile.
I was doing a bit of the research, and yeah, for me, like reaching out to you was just entrepreneurship, and that's obviously where we're connecting now, and the fact that entrepreneurship is a lonely place, and I'm interested to see who are the entrepreneurs in Ireland and what are they doing. Because I'm up here in a crow's nest, the fourth floor of a building, sitting by myself half the time, and it's just actually looking at seeing you on social media with other guys that I've socialized with, maybe, and saying, why don't I just send a message and see will he meet me and talk business. And I started doing that last year, and I met loads of people and lots of positive things that come out of it. For me, I'm not a great networker, and it's something that I think that you can. It's like a skill that you can build and learn.
And on that point, it's something really interesting. When we met the last day, we came out. We had a great chat. Unfortunately, my 3 o'clock meeting or whatever was changed from Dublin to Drogheda, so I had to go back the way
in rush hour.
In rush hour. Yeah, so I had to shoot out. But yeah, just for anyone who's listening and not looking at this in the video, we're in an amazing building here on what's the name of the street again?
South Ann Street.
South Ann Street,
Ann Street,
just off Grafton Street, one of the most famous streets in Ireland. Beautiful part of the city, amazing building, and to set the tone for where we are recording. It says it's a crow's nest. It's a small but amazing atmosphere, and that must lend itself well to your business in terms of promoting.
Dublin Barista School, I think part of the success for Dublin Barista School has been its location and the fact that we're in such an amazing location. And when we moved here in 2013 and we started looking kind of in 2012, the street was 50% vacant. It was in the middle of the recession. And myself and my then partner, we wanted to make this a real business, because when we started, we were operating from my first coffee shop, which is on Easton Street. And we were running courses from our coffee shop, which wasn't ideal, because you had one machine and you had 8 people or 6 people. So what didn't lend itself to really good quality training. And when we moved the business here, it was we wanted this particular street because we both loved it, and its accessibility, and it's near Trinity, and it's near all the major kind of transport hubs. And this building is dating back to the 1700s. And when you walk in, the front door actually we've had the people coming in telling us with the history, the whole business history, and then even when it started. So this was a house originally in the 1700s, and when you walked in, that was actually a stable.
Wow.
So that's where they kept the horses. And then when you walk up the first kind of steps, that's where the front door was. And so it's got beautiful features. It's tiny, so it doesn't lend itself to
You're a tall man, well,
to big people, but also in terms of what we need to do as a business, functionality, it's not perfect. So but in many ways it's kind of shown what you can do in a tiny space, because we can sell 700-800 coffees in a day in peak periods downstairs. And for us, especially when we get into coffee consulting and doing all that type of stuff, and showing people how to work as baristas, you don't need a huge blueprint to work from. You just need a coffee bar, and you need to have passion, and you need to kind of have good systems, and so it's kind of showcasing what you can do in a tiny space, and you can run a very efficient business from it, and you can make decent money.
Yeah, and that's what business is all about, isn't it? At the end of the day,
that's the hard part.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you reach out to me on Instagram, I get a combination of random Instagram messages from people, and then you get those bloody spam ones. Hey, Dateline, delete. But it's great when I get someone like yourself reach out to me, and I research it. I just obviously go onto your Instagram and I say, Jesus, this is really interesting. The Dublin Barista School, like most people in the world at the moment, coffee is a massive part of their lives now. Booming industry. But what you were doing wasn't just selling coffee. The whole aspect of running a barista and teaching people the finer art of the coffee business. And if you want to just touch on that, because as I said, I'm really interested in stories of people and evolutions. And how did you come up with the idea? And how did you get from there to this point?
Yeah, so it's I think like every kind of entrepreneur has a story, and mine goes back to my father and it goes back to his grandfather, my grandfather. My grandfather was World War II construction. He was actually from Westmeath. One of I think he was the youngest of 15 kids.
Wow.
back in the day, and he eventually made his way to London and he started a construction company and became a multi-millionaire. And that lended itself to a certain lifestyle and stuff like that, and he basically eventually lost all that money.
Wow.
And my father grew up in that wealth, and he also witnessed everything going, and so he kind of followed his father's footsteps into construction and kind of worked for himself for his whole life, and ups and downs. He's got a whole crazy story himself, and that kind of I felt it was always in my blood to do that. I went to college traditionally, didn't like it. Met my wife there. Linda works in the company now, and so went and did loads of jobs. Failed at loads of jobs, was terrible. Eventually, I found a job that I was good at selling. Ended up selling mortgages and really loved it and did really well in it. And then that was 2008. The crash came and I lost my job. So then I was like, what do I do? And I wanted to work for myself, and I was lucky that Linda said, yeah, just do it. But I didn't know what I was going to do, and I didn't have any money either. So what happened was she gave me a loan of €500. And this is kind of like the start of my kind of business story, is that €500 that she gave me is the same €500 that I have today. As in, over the last 10 years that we've worked in business, I've never borrowed money, I've never got a credit card, I've never had an overdraft facility. So that €500 is what we've developed into like a 7-figure business 10 years later.
Yeah.
So, and there's a whole kind of, and I think kind of going off point, I think like the generation of people have forgotten what it is to work and how to make money, and there's this whole kind of different generation of people who think that everything's done on your laptop and you're just going to become a multimillionaire, and it doesn't happen, because making money and isn't easy. Like 100% isn't easy, and there's been good and bad things from that. So we couldn't scale up because we couldn't get money. But it made me extremely tight with money and extremely good at operating business. So it had a kind of its pluses and negatives. So maybe if I'd access to money, we'd be in a far bigger place, or maybe I'd be out of business. I don't know. It's a difficult thing to know. So with that €500, going back to 2009, what I did was I started a sandwich delivery business called Good Mood Food. I sublet a kitchen in Stillorgan, and I sublet a kitchen from 5 o'clock until 11 o'clock in the morning, and I made sandwiches, and I went into a Standiford industrial estate, and I did what I knew I could do, which wasn't making sandwiches. I knew I was terrible at that, but I could sell, and I could knock on doors, and I could put myself out
just
there.
On that, like even as simple of identifying that, how did you come up with that idea? Did you see, right, there's a marketplace and there's an opportunity to sell sandwiches here?
Well,
Is it as simple as
there's
that?
a couple of things. It was the recession had hit. People literally had no money. Like it was just like there was no money, and people weren't going out. So it was a combination of there's a marketplace there. It's also the low barriers of entry of starting a sandwich business. I had €500, and I can tell you, like, you can start a business on pretty much nothing. I sold at a kitchen. It was like €100 a week. I paid most of my budget went on a website, which is €200. You feel like you have to have a kind of profile somewhere. And aside from social media, and then packaging, and I think I had like pretty much nothing left over, and I just had to go out and sell.